The void clip route in Chamber 18 is less physically demanding than the wall climb, but it can be really frustrating because it provides minimal feedback as to what exactly you're doing wrong. So I'll try to explain it as best I can, but really you're just going to need to try it yourself a few times in order to mess around with it and get it to work. So first you come over here, grab your favorite launch prop of choice. I like to use the radio. It's going to work just like the launch in OO. So you want to orient it like this. So you drop it and then walk backwards, and it should give you this orientation. Toss it into this like light source here. That's actually perfect. You don't want it to be like too angled left or right. And then place a portal next to it. Probably you want your non-save glitch portal to be here, and then you want to place your save glitch portal somewhere to the right. If it's too close, then this wall is solid. That's no good. Place it a bit further away. And then you're going to jump out here and do a vertical wall warp out there. So I kind of explained this in the wall climb tutorial, but basically you want to don't look too far down, otherwise the wall warp doesn't seem to work too well. So you want to look straight. And then we don't want to move that portal because we're going to pick up the radio that's right here later on. So we want to keep that portal where it is. And then you warp up here, and then warp up here, and then do another warp right over here. And then down here is where things get really interesting. So first, place the portal you've been using down in this bottom left corner here. And then, without going through the portal, you're going to grab the radio. It's a little weird at first. It might be a little counterintuitive. You're going to like try to grab it here, and you're not going to see it. You want to grab it. It's probably going to be pretty close to the portal there. Like, if you go through, you'll be able to see it. But since you're out of bounds, you can't actually see any of the props. So grab it. You want to grab it kind of at an angle, probably. This is what I use. Basically, we want to try to keep it in the correct orientation, so that way it's in the same orientation as when we do the OO launch. Otherwise, it might not work too well. So I like to come all the way to the edge of the portal here, and then grab it from here, and then set it down on this like, light source thing here. And then later on, we're going to pick it up from this orientation, so that way it's like correctly oriented. So here, we're going to do a little soft wall. So like walk down here. This is you're not going to be able to fall down here, so that's all fine. This is going to be a soft wall, so walk forward, but don't walk forward too much. If you see the chairs, you're doing it right. Save load and then hold back. And then if you're over here and you can still crouch and then stand up, that means you have save glitch. Because normally if you could see if I crouch, I can't stand up anymore. So then you're going to walk out here. Actually, this doesn't matter. So just walk out here, shoot orange. You don't want to shoot it too high up because if you do, like you're just going to fall down into it. So shoot it a little bit lower. It doesn't really matter where it is here. And then walk a little bit to the right. You still want to be in front of the portal. So like don't walk too far up here. And then once that happens, you're going to shoot up here. You're going to shoot your other portal. And you want to shoot it about halfway between those pipes and that piston head. It needs to be like roughly poking out of this wall here. The reason that we do this is because void clip doesn't work when you're save glitched. So we're going to do a launch like we do in OO, and that's going to fly us past the portal, which cancels save glitch, and then we're going to void clip the rest of the way. Then you come over here, pick up the radio, and pray it's in the correct orientation. And then you're going to try to do a launch just like you would in OO. So what I like to do is stand, like you can look straight forward and you see the centers of those blocks. I like to stand about halfway between the center of the blocks and the wall. If you're too far right, you're going to be too far away from the portal. If you're too far left, then you might hit the portal from underneath. So this is about where I like to stand. And then you're going to try to do the launch. So what you're aiming for is you're aiming to fly past the portal, and then you start save loading. If your velocity is more than, I think, about 650, you should be good to go, as long as you canceled save glitch. So this actually, I can't tell exactly what's wrong, and this is one of the problems with this route, and why some people might prefer the wall climb route, is because it's really hard to troubleshoot this, like when you're doing it, like in the middle of a run. So, 'cause, like the radio is invisible, so that might work. Let me just try it and see. The speed might be too low, but you basically just want to save load a few times. If your speed is too low, then you just won't get any vertical speed. So let's see. That actually does work. So if I were to keep load that previous save and then keep loading, then you would see that I would gain a bunch of vertical speed. You don't actually need to be crouching. And then while you do the launch as well, so I'll demonstrate this after I get to the top here. I'm getting closer and closer, so I'll briefly demonstrate this. When you do the launch, what you want to do is you want to like go up, and then you want to like strafe towards the finish. So you go up, and then as you're flying by here, strafe around here. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to gain some speed going in this direction, because otherwise you're going to get speed going straight up. If you end up over here, it's a little hard to make it over there. You still can if you have a lot of speed. Like you can stop save loading for a little bit and then like strafe and then continue void clipping. But it's usually not recommended to do that. So I'll keep void clipping from my save, just so I can demonstrate what happens when you get to the very top. And then the save load timing is like the same as BSG, but this is obviously a much bigger map than the maps where you normally do BSG. So definitely do play around with it. You don't want it to be too slow or too fast. And I think I'm just about to reach the top here. So here we are. So I've made it all the way up here. This is actually a great spot to land. You might land up over there. That's even better. You don't want to land too far up top there, because it's kind of a maze up there, and you can't really see any of it. So it can be really annoying. Once you're up here, just like place a portal so that you roughly know where the wall is, or like sometimes you'll get like stuck crouched. And then there's a little invisible ledge, so just push up against the wall and you'll be able to walk right along it. And then do your favorite re-entry method of choice right over here. And I'll briefly mention that if you notice that like you're trying to do the launch and you think you're doing everything the same as you do in OO, but it's just not working the same way, like it's flinging you in all sorts of weird directions, it's entirely possible that your radio is in the wrong orientation. So what you can do is you can set it down and then walk to a different or angle of it and then try again. And you can see that actually worked. Not quite as well, but that almost worked again. And so the number of save loads that you do is typically it's somewhere between 20 and like a 200. If your speed is way too low, then it might just be worth it for your own sake, just to like retry until you get a bit more speed. But typically if you get about 800 speed, then you only need to do about 45 save loads until you get to the very top. If you get like 1,000 speed, then you really only need to do like 20 or 25 save loads. And then once you're up here, you can just continue into Chamber 19.